We are
It is
back.
episode. Shit. See, I'm already.
158.
Hang on. I'm already screwing up here. Show the banner. There we go. It is episode 158 of the Metal Roundtable. I am Metal Rob, and with me, as always, is the great.
Carcass, John, along with.
Today, my name is Scott. No, I'm not related to Roger Waters.
I like it.
You might have a Roger in your pedigree somewhere.
Maybe.
Mike.
Hey, let's do some business before we get started in this brutal cage match that we're about to roll into. First of all, check us out on Facebook. Very easy to find, the Metal Roundtable. You can follow me on Instagram at I am Metal Rob. You can follow the Carcass on Instagram at Carcass John Art. You can find Scott on YouTube by just simply searching Scott Waters.
Yep.
You can go to the link I will post in the comments in a moment, and you can buy t-shirts and shower curtains and towels and all manner of shit that's got our logo emblazoned on it if you are so inclined. And
Please be so inclined.
if you're so inclined, yes. What else? I can't think.
We're almost rich because of all the stuff we've sold, right?
What have we sold? 5 shirts or something?
Almost is selling 5 shirts, then yes, we're loaded.
I think that's about right. What's up, Donnell? Tony Clem is here. Thank
Yep.
you very, very much. I will add the.
Hey, finding us on Facebook is a lot easier than reading my shirt logo.
Yeah, man, you're gonna have to get way closer, and I doubt.
No, it won't help.
Is that the 26-letter gobbledygook?
No.
No, I have no idea.
Scott. Well, they're from a city that I'm going to visit this weekend. Denver, Colorado. Nope.
I can't
Okay.
make it out.
It's of Feather and Bone.
Oh,
You should check them out.
No.
Excellent
Of
band.
Feather and Bone.
Of Feather and Bone. They're playing with Dark Funeral, Immolation, Cannibal Corpse, Pig Destroyer, Wake. It's going to be on like Donkey Kong in Denver this weekend.
Awesome. Well, hey, we have a big show for you guys today. Thank you all for being here. I'll throw comments up here in a minute. So Carcass came up with this idea. It's different than what I thought it was going to be, but I think his idea is pretty awesome. So I don't have any real shout outs if you guys want to get down to it, because we got a lot of albums to cover.
I've got a couple of minor shout outs, but
Yeah.
and then I have a statement I'd like to read.
Do it.
So I have a shout out to Haley and Larry Harden. Thanksgiving was great. I saw Tex Duncan of Creeper. That was awesome. Shout out to Ryan Venom Salazar. We're going to stay with him up in Denver. Thanks for putting us in a warm place, even though it's like 55, 60 degrees up there now. No snow. But anyway, and I had a kind of exciting time this week. I had done a sadist drawing like 7 or 8 years ago, and I just sort of went out into the wind. Well, somehow Darren Travis of Sadist, who has a new album coming out, by the way, got wind of it and ended up buying a piece of art from me. And so now I'm internationally world famous again. Woohoo!
Woohoo!
All right, so let me read a statement first, and then I will explain the rules of what we're going to do.
Okay.
Number 1, I do not hate Metallica. I've gotten a lot of grief this week when I told a couple of my buddies what I was going to do. My problem is I just don't respect them. They've successfully parlayed 3 iconic albums into a selfish, drama-ridden, narcissistic career of debauchery and self-entitlement. That's my statement. However, I can be objective. And I know Spicoli is maybe going to disown me now, but we all have our opinions. So here's what we're going to do today. I thought this would be fun. This was inspired by Aaron Fink and the Metal Queen's child.
Scott, got any shout outs before we get to
No, go ahead.
Okay,
Run
go
with
ahead.
it. Keep going.
Okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
Anyway, he played. They played Bonded by Blood, And I thought, man, it's been so long since I listened to that. That might just be better than Kill 'Em All. And I know that's blasphemous,
It's
but
not.
to some,
It's
however,
not better.
so
It
it
is
inspired
blasphemy.
this. It inspired this, and I like MMA. I like boxing. I like the whole fight game. So I thought, let's go round by round, and let's pit Exodus versus Metallica, and we're going to start with the very first album and pit those two together, and we're going to start with go to the second album and pit those two together, and so on. We're not going to use live albums. We're not going to have any EPs as part of this mess. And ironically, minus the 72 Seasons, which is the new Metallica that's coming out sometime, both bands have 12 albums. So we're going to go 12 rounds of heavyweight action. We're going to use a 10-point must system. That means if you can't decide which album is better, then both bands get 10 points. However, if you think one is better than the other, then the winner of that round gets 10, and then the other band, the other album gets whatever you feel. If they got beat up on that one, like if one album is superior over the other, you might give them a 10-8 round. So,
Okay.
all that being said, let's get right into it. So we all know that Kill 'Em All by Metallica and Bonded by Blood by Exodus are both iconic records.
Agreed.
So, what say ye? Anybody have any thoughts on which one you feel like is better than the other?
I think it's. Do we just want to go around the horn in order every time?
Yep.
Okay. Do you want me to start?
Go ahead.
Okay. To me, this is a no-brainer. It's Kill 'Em All by a mile. 10 out of 10. I'll give the Exodus an 8. I just simply like Kill 'Em All more. It connected with me more. I believe it was a little earlier, if I remember. In my opinion, more influential overall. And I didn't like the production on Bonded by Blood, if I'm being quite honest.
Okay.
That's it.
Fair enough.
10 to 8.
Scott?
Okay. I also would give Kill 'Em All a 10. It is not well recorded, but the raw recording works in its favor because it's got that just gnarly sound. It's an album I describe as youthful energy, which they'll never capture again. Much like the first Vengeance Rising Human Sacrifice, it's raw, it's messy, it's heavy, it's not well recorded, but it all works in its favor. It's a perfect album. It's got great songs on it. Every song is fantastic. Love the down picking, the guitar solos are all well done. I don't know. It's just a great album. Of course, I've played it so many times since I purchased it as a new release. I don't rarely ever play it anymore, but I did play it yesterday and really enjoyed it again. But I mean, I'm going to say about half the album is Dave Mustaine anyhow, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And it also came out in '83, which is pretty damn early for thrash metal. Although, as I recall, when it first came out, everybody was calling it speed metal, as was the band. Regardless, to me, the album is very influenced by I don't know. I hear Diamond Head on speed on that whole album.
I do too.
It is very Diamond Head influenced, along with Motorhead, and you can't go wrong with Cliff Burton's bass playing on the thing. I mean, I remember hearing Whiplash for the first time and Anesthesia and just being blown away by it. So, yep, it gets a perfect 10 out for me because I love that album, still do, and I think it's one of the most influential thrash albums of all times. Okay. Exodus, Bonded by Blood. I'll give it if you would have asked me several years ago, I would have given it like a 7 because I just didn't like the production. Really turned me away from it. It's also poorly recorded, but it's not poorly recorded in their favor. The guitars are mushy and muddy, but if you really listen to what they're doing, the sound is very similar to Kill 'Em All. As far as like the down picking and shoot, I mean, if Mustaine, excuse me, if what's that dude's name?
Gary Holt.
If Hetfield had been singing on it,
or
a lot of people would have assumed it was a Metallica album. I mean, it's got that similarity to it. But I love this album now. It's got almost every song on here is a classic. Bonded by Blood, Exodus, None There Were None, Lessons in Violence. Listen to the live album they recorded with Bailoff, and those songs are just that's really what turned me on to this album, was hearing those live songs, and they were so much better recorded that now I enjoy this one more. So I'll give it a 9. It is more influential. It is also a very influential album. I mean, that whole wave in the 2000s of bands coming out of California during that what do you call it, the new wave of thrash metal that was coming out.
Right.
I mean, I'm going to say more than half those bands were hugely Exodus influenced.
Yep.
To the point some of them were even naming themselves after Exodus albums, and so. But yeah, anyhow,
Like
I'll give it a
Bonded by
9 on
Blood.
that one.
That's a great band.
So yep. So I'll give that
Okay,
one
well-
a 9. Both great albums in my opinion. You can't go wrong with either one. They're both essential.
I couldn't decide, so I gave them a 10 each. So we have a 10-8 from Rob, a 10-9 from Scott, and an even round from me. All right,
Okay.
Ride the Lightning.
You're keeping score, right? Because I
I'm
don't have a
keeping
piece.
score. Ride the Lightning,
Ride the
Rob,
Lightning versus what?
versus Pleasures of the Flesh.
Okay, hang on. To me, again, this is not even. It's not even close in my opinion. I'm gonna shit.
Go ahead, man. We're not.
I'm gonna give Ride the Lightning a 10.
Okay.
I think they stepped up even beyond what they did on the first album. The production was better. They were getting better. They were maturing. Pleasures of the Flesh has got some killer songs on it. I love Parasite. I love Brain Dead. I'm gonna do the same 10-8.
10-8. Wow.
Yep.
Exodus not getting any love from Hair Metal Rob. Okay, Scott.
An 8 is a super, super top-notch album.
So is a 10.
That's true.
Okay.
Ride the Lightning. I mean, this album, I lived on this album when I was in high school, so gets a 10 for me. I remember when it first came out, people were bitching and moaning about how there was a ballad on it, and they were selling out, and it was like, some people have been calling this band a sellout since this album, as I recall. What was the ballad on here? Fade to Black, right?
Yeah.
Is it really a ballad though?
It really isn't. I mean, it's like saying that Judas Priest are sellouts because they did ballads. I mean, who cares?
Yeah, they also did Turbo Lover, but let's not go there.
Well, I'm talking about even 70s Judas Priest, But regardless, it's still a great album. There's not a song here I don't like. It still had a lot of thrash on it, although they're obviously moving away to a more straightforward metal sound. But yeah, I'm gonna give this one a 10.
Okay, keep that statement in mind.
What's that?
Moving away from. Go ahead.
Exodus, Pleasures of the Flesh. If I have to give it less than a 10, I'll give it a 9. But I think this is a great album. I'd give it a 10 as well if you can.
Sure, you can call it a tie.
It's again, the production's not great, but then again, the production's not great on this one either. Nope. You know what I mean? Either one have perfect production, but the thing is, unlike the first album, I think the production on this one worked in their favor. It was raw and crunchy and heavy, and I really liked the new vocals. I mean, I know everybody loves Bailoff, and I have nothing against Paul Bailoff. I know he was a what do you call influential guy, but I really like Zetro's vocals better than Bailoff. That's just me.
Yeah, he's the best, man.
I love Zetro. So to me, it's a great album. It's probably my favorite Exodus album, although I really have come to like Bonded by Blood a lot better than I used to. So yeah, I'll give them both a 10. They're both great albums.
Okay. Well, I have Ride the Lightning nipping Pleasures of the Flesh 10-9 at the line. And the only reason I have a hard time with this one because I don't like these super long, drawn out, epic instrumental things. And they started it on Ride the Lightning and it spilled over to Master of Puppets. But I vote 10-9, Ride the Lightning over Pleasures of the Flesh.
Richie has spoken.
Exodus.
Man, yes, I think, okay, in the fan voting, the first album went to Exodus and the second album went to Metallica.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's cool, though. Let's roll.
All right, Master of Puppets. What say ye, Hair Metal Rob?
100 out of 10. I mean, it's an absolute masterpiece. It's not
versus
even
Fabulous Disaster.
it's not even close. Again, to me, the first three Metallica are as good as any first three heavy metals of any band in the history of ever. So that one is, if I can give it a harder 10 than the other ones, I would. But I also love Fabulous Disaster. It's got some of my very favorite songs on it. I'm going to do 10 to 9.
10 to 9. Okay, Scott, what say ye?
I should have thought about this before right now, huh? Wow.
Like we're ever prepared. Come on.
Well, I was prepared for the first couple albums because I gave those a listen, but Master of Puppets, I mean, when that thing came out, again, it was just one that I lived on. I loved it, and I still like it to this day. I think it's a more experimental sounding thrash metal album. I think it's still got a lot of thrash elements. It's no longer a straightforward thrash album. They do a little bit more mid-pace stuff. They do a lot more groove stuff. So they're definitely moving away from the straightforward thrash of of the first two albums, but I still think it's a great album. I mean, the title track alone is worth the price of admission. Every song on it is really good. I don't know if I had to pick one that I'd throw off. Maybe was an instrumental called Orion or something like that. I don't have it in front of me, so
hang on.
But
yeah,
I even like that song, and I mean, nostalgia is a hard thing to overcome, and that's just an album I grew up with. It was. I just never stopped listening to it. And again, it was one that I probably overplayed a lot when I was younger, so I don't listen to it a whole lot these days, but I still think it's a great album and probably deserving of a 10. But then we're talking about Fabulous Disaster, which has long been my favorite Exodus album, and I can't even tell you why. Probably because it was really the first one that I got heavily into as a new release, as opposed to the first two Exodus I kind of got into later. But Last Act of Defiance, Fabulous Disaster. I love the Toxic Walks. I know it's a corny song, or cheesy song, but who cares?
Awesome.
I mean,
but I dare anybody to sit still when that thing pops on.
Right.
Yeah, man, it's a headbanger, man. You're banging your head, you're tapping. It's a freaking awesome song. And like I said, the song actually inspired me. That particular song actually inspired me to write the song "Heart of Metal" for Ultimatum, which became one of our most popular songs. Because I was like, those lyrics are stupid and cheesy, but I love them. I'm gonna see if I can write a stupid and cheesy song just like that. And I mean, it's not the same. It's not the same exact idea, but we did, and it became one of our most popular songs. So, but anyhow, I even like the cover of Lowrider on here. There's nothing on here I don't like. I know a lot of people hate that, but I dig it. So I'll give it a 9, just under Master of Puppets.
Okay, well, only because of I love Master of Puppets, but I love Fabulous Disaster more, and I'm gonna call it a coin flip, so I have a 10 on both sides. So that's an even round for me.
Okay.
Okay, here's where it's gonna get ugly.
Not really.
And Justice for All versus Impact is Imminent. What say ye, Master Rob?
Well, first of all, oh man.
Now, I know a lot of people that trash talk this thing. I have no idea why, because all you got to do is just put it on, and that thing rips from start to finish. But I digress. This is your time, not mine.
Yeah, again, I'm not going to give. Okay, man, I didn't care for this Exodus album a lot. Now, I also don't have as much experience with this Exodus album as I do in Justice for All. And Justice for All was hard for me to get my head around. The production was weird. It was a little more, I don't know, it went a little different direction than the straight ahead, thrash and epic stuff that they had done on Master of Puppets. They had some longer songs and I don't know. both of them fell a little flat for me at first, but over the years, oh, and I also saw Metallica on this tour. So I'm going to give Injustice a 7. That might be low. I'm going to give it a 7, and I'm going to give Impact is Imminent a 6. I literally know by looking at the titles, I know the first song and I know the third song. I know Objection Overruled. And some of it, the names don't even ring a bell. I just didn't listen to it that much. And I think that's because I didn't care for it that much. That's one I probably should revisit.
Yep.
Yeah, you should.
Okay, Lunatic Parade, Scott.
All right. Well, when Impact is Imminent first came out, I too wasn't a huge fan of it. I didn't hate it. I love this album now. As a matter of fact, I love it so much that when my band was recording our Lex Metalis album, which is an all cover song album, we were going to do a cover of Thrash Under Pressure, because I just think that's a freaking killer thrash song. It's just straightforward, in your face. It's like only 3 minutes long, but man, it just pummels you like a jackhammer to the brain. Great song. But then I also think that the song "Only Death Decides" is like one of the best songs they ever wrote. It's just this fantastic track. So I think it's a far better album than people give it credit for. And it's definitely better than a good portion of Metallica's catalog from this point on. But I don't know if, as far as Metallica, both bands seem like they were trying to prove themselves. They're like, look how proggy we are. Look how we can write long songs. So that's the thing. I think that's the thing people don't like as much about the Exodus album is it's got longer songs. It's got those drawn out instrumental parts and stuff like that. But so does Metallica. So the fact that the bass is missing kind of sucks. I really liked their the Garage Days Revisited EP that came out before it. Now that thing is fantastic. But And Justice for All, I'll give it an 8. And Impact is Imminent, I'll give it a 9.
Okay. Well, only because
before we move on, I want to talk about Spicoli's comment just for a second. First of all, the comments are awesome. Thank you, guys. It looks like this one's just about a draw as far as the viewers, but that Justice tour was so great, and I'm not going to get sidetracked on that. But man, with the big lady Justice, falling down at the end of the show, that was just an amazing show, and they did such a great job of capturing that tour. It's just awesome. So, just wanted to address his comment there.
Okay, well, for me, And Justice for All was not the first album. Saint Anger was not the first album with bad drum sound. It started with Justice for All, with the stupid clicky little drums and the missing bass and the spat they were having with Jason Newsted. I just thought the whole thing was too over dramatic, and I love Impact is Imminent. So the only reason I don't give Injustice for All a 7 and Impact a 10 is because I gave Injustice an 8 because I have the Japanese version where it actually has bass in it and it sounds way better, but it's still not enough to beat Impact is Imminent. So I gave Impact 10 and Justice 8.
What do you think is the best? What do you think is the best song off of Impact, though?
What's that?
What's your favorite song off Impact is Imminent?
Lunatic Parade.
Yeah.
Yep.
100%.
I mean, and I like Thrash Under Pressure too, and I like Only Death Decides, and I like Impact is Imminent. I like the whole record. I can start. See, that's one I can start and listen to the whole thing, and not feel sleepy at the end of it.
Lunatic Parade's just badass, though.
Yeah. That and Justice for All, it drones a little for me. I love Blackened. I love some of those Short as Straw. But then it like spirals downhill, in my opinion. So,
I was going to say that one other thing about that album, Impact is Imminent, is when they were recording a song that was left off of the album that they recorded recorded a cover of Free for All by Ted Nugent, but it was released on a 12-inch single and a cassette single.
What? I've never heard that. Huh.
Yeah, I wish I owned the single, but I own the cassette single, but I've been wanting to get the 12-inch single for years, never been able to find it.
Okay.
Moving on. Sorry.
So here we go. Now here's where it really gets stinky. The Metallica Black Album and Exodus Force of Habit. And we could go on for days about both of these albums, but let's just go on for a couple of minutes each, and so we can get through the whole stack.
Okay, this is a very simple one for me. You can call it sellout. You can call me hair metal Rob, even though I don't have any hair. I don't care. The Black Album, yes, it's different. Yes, they changed. Did they sell out? In my opinion, they did not sell out. Did they become more mainstream? Absolutely. But that album brought heavy metal and thrash metal to people that would have never heard it otherwise. I don't care what anybody says, whether you like the album or not, and I do like it. I'm not going to give it a 10 because it's not one of the first three. I give it a 9. I'm going to give Force of Habit a 5 because I literally know nothing on it. I've got it. I've heard it. I don't remember a stinking thing about it. How about that?
I got a thorn in my side, but that's okay.
I know you do.
All right.
Oh, man.
That's a song
Sorry,
off that album, by the way. Go ahead, Scott.
Hey, what's up, Reptilian? I'm gonna give Force of Habit is not really a bad album. I just think
it's not.
It's overblown. They should not have covered the Rolling Stones. That track's, in my opinion, kind of sucks. I think they could have just trimmed it down a couple of songs, then it probably would have been a stronger album. But then you got what? Architect of Pain. How long was that song? Like 12 minutes on that album. But I don't think it's anywhere near as bad as people make it out to be. The cover art also is kind of lame. It just doesn't really match the album. But I'm going to give it an 8. And the Black Album, I'll give it a 7. I like the Black Album, but I like there's some great songs on there, but there's a lot of crap on there.
Okay, well, I went with the 10-point must system, so I couldn't. I gave Force of Habit a 10 and Metallica a 9 because it just, it was basically a toss up. But I've learned to appreciate the Black Album a little more because I don't look at it as a Metallica record anymore. Because after Injustice for All, they weren't really they weren't the same band that put out the first 3 rippers. They were a band that stopped making music and started making money. But I appreciate what they're doing. Everyone's got to make a living. But I gave Force of Habit a 10-9 over that in that round. Now here's where it really is going to get ugly for Metallica, in my opinion.
Agreed.
Load for Metallica, or Tempo of the Damned, which might be one of the greatest comeback records in thrash metal. But yes. I digress, and I turn the mic over to Mr. Rob.
Okay, well, first of all, let me grab my copy of Load here because I can't remember on these two. I can't remember the songs that are on there. And what was the other one? Tempo of the Damned?
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, Tempo of the Damned is a perfect thrash album, period. Scar Spangled Banner, War is My Shepherd. I mean,
Blacklist.
Yeah, God bless, man. 9 for that one. And Metallica, we're talking about Load here. Okay. First of all, I'm okay. I've grown to be okay with these albums. Having said that, you could take these and make one good Metallica album that would have been, Black Album 2.0. Ain't My Bitch is great. Until It Sleeps is great. I love King Nothing. I even like Hero of the Day. I like when a band can do power ballads or whatever. That doesn't bother me at all. But once you get past those, I literally know jack shit. Cure, Poor Twisted Me, Mama Said, I have no idea. I give it a 5. But I don't hate it as much as
I do. Scott?
Right.
Exodus 10. That album destroys. Some of the lyrics kind of irritate me on that album. But I mean, that song Blacklist, my gosh, that's a killer song.
Yeah, it is.
If you're not
And then
skanking around the living room when you hear that, then you're just
No
you're in
shit.
a catatonic state. That's all there is to it.
yeah, and then the version of Impaler that they did, I'm so glad they finally recorded that song. It's so damn good. It's
Yep.
just incredible. Funny story about this one, has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but my I was playing that album when I first got it in, and my wife came in and was listening to it, and she said, I don't remember you recording that song. I was like, what are you talking about? She goes, that's you singing, right? I said, no, that's
That's a
Exodus.
great compliment.
Yeah.
So anyhow,
Okay.
but yeah, I'll give that one a 10. Load, I mean, do we have to do a 10 and then a -1, or can it be a lower
Oh, it can
number?
be a lower score.
Oh, it could, because I'm gonna give it like a 5. It's got a
Okay.
few songs. It's got a few songs I like on it, but I just remember when the album came out, I was stupid disappointed. I mean, that was the mid '90s when metal was a dirty word and nobody was playing, and everybody was saying metal is dead, and nobody wanted to play heavy metal, and everybody was cutting out the guitar solos, and Korn and all those bands were the big thing of the day, and rapcore and all that junk was going on, and yeah, I was really hoping that when that album came out, before I heard Load, and I heard, Metallica's got a new album come out, I was really hoping they'd help resurrect metal rather than, put out an album that could describe as Alternaca rather than Metallica.
They
Yeah.
did. I really do believe though that in the mid '90s, when all that stuff was coming out and metal had lost its way, man, I still believe that Metallica kept heavy music relevant along with Pantera. Now, that's a whole different discussion, but so I don't completely discredit that stuff for that reason, because anything that can bring people into metal, I'm cool with whatever doorway they use to get in.
Okay. And as so to button this up, and probably the next one too, they're good albums. They're well produced. They have hooky songs. But is it a good Metallica record? In my opinion, no, it's not a good Metallica record. But is it a decent record? Yes, it is a decent record. However, against Tempo of the Damned, it got slaughtered. I gave it a 10. Tempo of the Damned a 10, and Load a 6.
Yeah.
So that segues right in, and we can probably are going to say something similar.
That's what all the viewers said the same thing as well. I don't think
with Reload versus Shovel-Headed Kill Machine, which was the first one with Rob Dukes.
He's a badass.
He is a badass, and guess what? He just slaughtered Reload. So
agreed. I mean,
and Chris, and I agree with Chris Bell. They're well written. They have good songs. They have hooky songs. They have songs that sell. But that's not a Metallica record to me.
I hear people all the time saying that they're not metal records, they're just rock records, Load and Reload.
They're hard rock records. I would probably tend to agree with that.
I don't know. To me,
they're
it sounds
certainly not Cannibal Corpse, that's for sure. So
they're not. Yeah, they're not thrash metal. They're not thrash or death metal, but they're still metal records. I think it's ridiculous to say they're not metal records, but
well, I guess if Diamond Head could be classified as metal, then sure, Reload and Load could be classified as metal too.
I wasn't going to bring this up, Richie, but you're right. Rob Dukes did disrespect me, but he is a badass.
Yeah. Okay, so what do you score this, Rob?
Okay, so it's Reload versus what?
Shovel-Headed Kill Machine.
Oh shit. Metallica 5, Shovel-Headed Kill Machine. God, man, it's good. 8.
Okay. Scott?
I'll give Reload a 6 just because I really like the song Fuel. Love the groove in that song. Pantera could have recorded that song and no one would have said boo about it, but Metallica recorded it and everyone hates it. It's definitely a grooved metal song. But Exodus, man, it's got Paul Bastoff playing drums. It's got Lee Aldis from Heathen on guitar. It's got insane production from Andy Sneap. I'm not a huge fan of Duke's vocals. I'm sure he's a nice guy and he had big shoes to fill, but not a nice guy.
Not, but okay.
I don't know. All I know is his vocals didn't stand out to me. They sound like every other pseudo macho dude yelling at me.
Yeah, and
So
see,
that's
and I thought kind of the opposite. I mean, I agree with what you're saying. Yeah, big macho, kind of bro vocals or whatever you want to call it. But man, I thought he carried the torch mightily through that era.
I thought he was a pretty good fill-in for
Yeah, I thought it
whomever.
was fantastic.
yeah, but that's what you're saying. You're saying fill-in. Did you actually think he actually was part of the Exodus sound, or was he just a
Oh,
fill-in?
okay, I get you. Well, I mean, I didn't know any better at the time. No, I thought Exodus got a great singer and just kept on rolling.
Yep.
Well, we'll get to those albums.
Anyhow, so I'll give that album an 8. Exodus.
A 10-point must system. Okay, an 8.
What does a 10-point must system mean?
10 points means the winner of the round gets 10 points, and then the other gets whatever.
Then cross mine off and give it a 10.
Okay. Rob, is that a 10-5 round for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
8-5, but whatever. However, I don't understand the scoring anymore.
Okay.
Well, the winner of the round gets a 10.
It's just
the winner of the round gets a 10.
It's just a winner, so yeah, I get what you're doing. I get it now.
Okay. Now I included Garage Inc. because
Excellent.
I had to have 12 and 12. Garage Inc. versus Atrocity Exhibition Exhibit A.
Damn. Okay. First of all, Garage Inc. was huge for me. I remember where I was working, what I was doing when I bought that thing at lunch one day. I stupidly put it back on the shelf. Garage Inc. Oh, I have them out of order. I love it. Absolutely love it. I think I love the covers that they did. I like that they metallicized all these songs. I thought it was super cool and creative and fun. I love everything about this. I love that they reissued Garage Days Revisited 10. And
okay.
And as much as I hate to say it, yeah, I'm at like 10-8 because I love the Atrocity Exhibition.
All right.
10-8.
Scott?
Tough one. I really like the covers album, the Garage Inc. But I'm a big fan of tribute albums to begin with. I love when my favorite bands do covers of other favorite bands. The new songs they did were great. It's Electric was killer. Sabbath cover was killer. Of course, I'm a big Thin Lizzy fan, so having them do Whiskey in a Jar was awesome as well. But I like the fact that on disc 2 they put all the extra stuff on there, from the other albums like Am I Evil and Blitzkrieg and Bread Fan and all those great songs. So I mean I can't tell you how many times I listened to that thing when it came out. So it's going to end up being the winner for me. So it's going to be the 10, and I'm going to give the Exodus album a 9.
Okay, I scored it an even round, 10-10. Because
really?
Well, I scored it an even round because I love the production. I love what they were doing, Metallica on the Garage Inc., but they weren't their songs. So it was just
but they made
cover.
Here's the thing, though, they made them their songs.
Yeah, yes, they'd been doing that since they were little kids.
Yeah,
right.
And
that's what I like about them.
Don't tell anybody. That's not really that's Diamond Head, but don't tell anybody. That's Metallica.
Right.
But I don't want to get into that. Okay. Here's one that I'm sure that nobody's going to disagree with us. Well, no, everybody's going to disagree. Saint Anger versus Let There Be Blood. Rob?
Saint Anger 5. Let There Be Blood. Now that's the re-record. Is that the re-recording?
Yeah, so the first album.
10. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. That was the re-recording of the first album with Dukes, right? Am I remembering that correctly?
Is it? No.
Let There Be Blood. Hang on. Let me Let There Be Blood.
Production value.
What do we Well,
Yeah, that's the first album re-recorded with Rob Dukes.
correct.
Yeah. 10. Beautiful. Loved it. Everything about it. Thought it was fantastic. Made me like that album.
So I just contradicted myself, but go ahead, Scott.
Let There Be Blood. I thought it was fantastic. I mean, I was never a big fan of Dukes, like I said. I just thought I was actually. It's funny. I just went back to my old website that I haven't looked at forever, and I was reading some of my reviews of the Rob Duke stuff, and I actually call him monotone and bland in some of my reviews. But I loved the Let There Be Blood. It was like a trend thing during the early 2000s to mid 2000s where all these bands re-recording the crap. I remember Striper did it, Anthrax, Twisted Sister,
Testament.
Saints, Sodom, Testament, Loudness did it,
Yep.
Molly Hatchet did it, Gravedigger. So it was like a thing back then to re-record your albums. But the thing was, the production on the original album was just so piss poor. I really liked the fact that they brought out those old songs that gave them new life. So absolutely give that one a 10. Saint Anger is a piece of shit. I'll give it a 1.
All right,
I mean,
then, Scott.
I bought that album, and I know you don't ever hear me cussing, but that's just the way it is. That album, I bought that album as new release. Again, I liked Load and Reload, so I expected something from them that was decent at least. I bought the album, put it in my car. I had a CD player in my car. I left work, driving home, stuck it in there, and the album started, and I all right, this is funny. I was expecting kind of like the production to all of a sudden like it was like, sometimes they start off with like a buried production, and all of a sudden it goes zoom, and you get the right production. It's like I don't know how else to explain it. So I kept expecting it to get better, and the song's going, and it never gets better. It's like, and all I could say to myself is, if any band would have recorded that crap and gave it to a label and said, "Hey, this is our demo. What do you think?" They would have been laughed out of the studio.
Yeah.
I mean, it's garbage, and people defend it to this day. The production is horrendous. The songs are overly long. There obviously needed guitar solos in them. There's no guitar solos in the whole damn thing. So you've got a great solo player, and you don't have him play anything on the album. It's just well, we can't play solos. It's not cool right now. Well, who cares what's cool, man? You're Metallica. You've got a shredder in your band. Have him play some damn solos. The album sucks. Gets a 1.
Well, we can debate Kirk Hammett all day long, but I agree with Chris Bell. The DVD is the only reason I didn't give it a 1, because if you listen to the DVD as well as watch it, the songs take on a different life. But in fact, I saw two musician brothers on YouTube
There was a
re-record the whole thing and with
I saw that, yeah.
an actual snare and better production, and the songs are okay. So I gave Let There Be Blood 10 and Saint Anger DVD a 5. All right,
the DVD.
I didn't even know it had a DVD.
Yeah,
It
that's
does.
the only way. That's the only way I still have it in my collection. I still have it, but
I couldn't handle it. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah,
the DVD sounds better. It's got a better production than the CD does.
And
you can actually hear
someone sneaked in and put the snare and turned the snare on for Lars.
Yeah, and someone actually let the bass player be heard.
Oh, hey, what do you think? Well, you think Robert Trujillo's not going to be heard? So anyway, okay. Now there's going to be some controversy here.
Yep.
Metallica, Death Magnetic against Exodus, Exhibit B, The Human Condition.
So I'm rolling through the Atrocity, Exhibit B. I don't recognize any of the songs. However, I do know that I liked it. This came out when I was consuming an awful lot of music, so it's not burned into my brain. Damn. I like the Metallica album better, but man, it's close because I think the Atrocity records are great.
You can call it an even round.
It's a draw for me.
Okay.
Yep. The thing that kills me on this is they screwed up the mastering on this. It's too hot. I know for a fact you can push a CD to the absolute limit without distortion. and this distorts. And to me, that crackling makes it nearly unlistenable because I just can't hear past that. I don't know who mastered it. I know Rick Rubin produced it. I don't know who mastered it, but the mastering's too loud and it distorts, and that bothers me. I almost would give it an edge for that, but nah, even round.
There's another version of it out that's was mastered for the game. There was some sort of video game, and that actually sounds good.
The Guitar Hero tracks are
Yes.
Yeah, mastered better.
Yeah.
Yep.
But anyway, go ahead, Scott. Spicoli.
The winner's going to be.
I love Spicoli.
The winner's going to be Exodus, just because it's still not my favorite Exodus album. But if the winner gets a 10, then F gets a 10.
Hey, we're
it's
in
a solid.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Scott.
It's a solid album. I like it. It's just not my favorite Exodus album. As far as Metallica goes, I thought it was a nice return to form. Brought back some guitar solos, had some faster songs, had some good memorable hooks. Had a lot of long songs on it. As I recall, most of the songs were like 7 and 8 minutes long, and that instrumental on there is ridiculously long. It was like 10 or 15 minutes long or something stupid like that. Yeah, it's good. I'll give it a 9.
Yeah,
I
saw him on this tour as well. Fantastic. He commented. Oh, sorry, Metal Mayhem commented that we should do more episodes like this. I want to say something to everybody that watches. We love you so much. We appreciate you, but please message us. We would love to do whatever you want to hear us talk about. I mean, we just dig on bullshitting about metal. So yeah, you'll definitely see more like this, but if you've got something specific, just message one of us. We'll do it. All good. Comments. Sorry. What are we up to now, Carcass?
Well, I gave Death Magnetic. That was a 10-9 round for me. I thought the production. Rick Rubin's a hack. I don't care what anybody says. Slayer did their own work when he did Rain and Blood. He's just a name on the album. They were just trying to get some recognition. He did nothing to help their cause. 10-9, Exhibit B over Death Magnetic. And now, I can't wait to talk about this. Metallica Lulu against Blood In, Blood Out.
Oh, come on.
Do we even need to talk about it? I gave it a 0. I gave Lulu a 0.
Yeah.
Yep.
I can't even listen to it.
No, it's a piece of trash. It's not. I don't even have it in my collection. I got rid of it.
Have it.
Okay.
I got rid of it. I didn't buy it to begin with because I heard how bad it was. Someone gave it to me, and I couldn't give the damn thing away. Matter of fact, I finally.
Record?
Actually, Rob, you do own that album.
Lulu?
Yeah, you do.
Well,
so let me ask a question. Let me ask a question then. Let me ask you a question then. Because I heard an interview with Lars, and he said, I don't know why people don't like this. We're just expressing ourselves. We're just being creative. Why would a band do this? Why? Unless they are just so completely out of touch and arrogant. So, I don't understand it. This thing is I'm a table. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, but it wasn't really Metallica's. It was, what's his name?
It was Lou Reed.
Yeah.
It was a collaboration with Lou Reed.
Right.
And they brought him in, and they thought it was a good idea.
Do they actually call it a Metallica album?
Nope. They called it a Lou Reed album.
No, they call it Lulu. They don't call it anything. It's Metallica collaborating with Lou Reed, and they call it Lulu.
It's to me, it's just a no-brainer. 0, Lulu, 10, Blood In, Blood Out. Blood In, Blood Out was one of the greatest. Oh, it's listed as a Metallica album. Okay. Blood In, Blood Out was one of the greatest return to form albums. I mean, they not return to form. I shouldn't say that because they had continued being Exodus.
But Zetro was back.
If you get Zetro back and you put out some badass stuff like this, saw him on this tour, 10-0. Not even close. Okay.
I think we're 10-0 across the board. Unless Scott has something.
Not even close. I saw him on the Exodus on this tour, and they tore it up. And Zetro's back. Zetro rules. I love his snotty, in-your-face vocal style.
Yeah, agreed.
So yep, not even a question for me. Blood In, Blood Out is a fantastic album. I think it's better than anything they did with Dukes, in my opinion.
Well, then here, let's get down to the last release.
Okay.
Hardwired to Self-Destruct or Persona Non Grata.
Wow.
And Scott wins the Persona Non Grata
Yeah,
award.
he does. So this is not going to be fair. And here's why. For me, let me get through some of these comments real quick. Lulu equals poo poo. 2015, brilliant. Wow, yes. Never bothered to listen to the album. Blood In, Blood Out is a masterpiece. Lulu is a record that Metallica plays on. Is not very good. Not even a good Lou Reed record. I'm going to
That's
give
the way
this
I
a
understood
draw.
Lulu to be. I
I'm
understood
going to give
Lulu to
this
be
a
a Lou
draw,
Reed
and
record.
here's why. I think this is a great Metallica record. A lot of people don't. I really, really like Hardwired. I really like it. This came out last year. I've heard it. I've listened to it. Saw him live again. It's egregious. I have not spun this very much. I suspect it's Blood In, Blood Out 2.0, and it's awesome. So by that fact, I give it a draw. Even
Okay.
round.
Scott?
It's funny. I when that album came out, the Metallica album, Hardwired to Self-Destruct, I thought it was an improvement over Death Magnetic, and I like a lot of the songs a lot. I think if they would have trimmed some of the fat back and just made it like the best 8 songs, because they're kind of long songs as I recall,
Yeah.
rather than having what was it, like 12 or 13 tracks, I think it would have been a great album as opposed to I can't get through this whole thing. But yeah, there's some great songs on there. I mean, Hardwire is great. Atlas Arise is great. Spit Out the Bone is great. What was the other one? I really like the Lemmy when they did too. I can't remember what it's called. Was it Murder One? Yeah, Murder One.
Yep.
So yeah, it's a good album from them. It's not, I mean, it doesn't compare to that early stuff in any way, shape, or form. I like Disc 3 a lot too, with all the cover tracks on there. That was kind of fun. But the Exodus album blows Hardwired Self-Destruct away. So I'm going to do the 10-9 thing with the 10 going to Exodus.
Okay. Well, I gave Persona a 10 and I gave Hardwired an 8 only because I went out and I was all excited, but like everybody else, that this is Metallica's mighty return. And like you said, Scott, they should have consolidated. I got the 3-disc set, and I made one good solid album out of all 3 discs, taking the best songs off of all 3 discs, including 2 cover tracks, and including When a Blind Man Cries, Deep Purple cover, and it's just okay to me. They're, in my opinion, they are never ever going to return to the greatness of the first 3 albums. They're not even going to get close. I was encouraged by Death Magnetic, but the production was so terrible on that thing, and the songs were way too long. But this Persona Non Grata, I think, is the pinnacle of Exodus. I still love Temple of the Damned. I still love the early stuff, but this is really, really good, and it's clean. The production is amazing. I got the disc that talked about how they made it, and they were basically just kind of like those kids from Desiccation, that band from San Diego that drove all the way up here with their mom to play a show at the Haltham Theater. They were just stuck in their houses for like 2 years. And so all those guys from Exodus went up into the woods to Tom Hunting's house, and they just recorded a great record.
Glenn Rogers is here.
And so now looking at it, it appears to me that
so hey, I'm sorry, can I call a timeout before you give the result?
Sure.
Okay, we just got a question. May I ask what the Metal Round Table think of the new Metallica single?
I was going to bring that up too.
I give it 2 thumbs up. I like speedy guitars. I've only heard it all the way through once, but to me, thumbs up. Give me more of the same, and we're gonna have a great Metallica record. I like it.
I think it's a decent song. I think the guitar solo is kind of Um, I don't know. I got a pet peeve with bands like Metallica and Striper and some of these other and Iron Maiden. I mean, I love these bands since I was a kid, but people go freaking ape shit over this stuff before they've even heard it. I mean, the hype over Metallica right now is insane on the internet. You can't go on Facebook without seeing a Metallica post about the new song. But there's so many great bands who have released some killer albums that nobody gives two craps about because they're too busy listening to mediocre crap from these bands. But that's just my opinion. What say ye, John?
Um, the song's okay.
That's
It,
yeah,
it's not groundbreaking. It's not even a good Metallica song. It's just okay. And I'm sure people are going to run right out and buy it. I'm going to probably end up buying a used copy just because I'm a completist and I have everything that they've ever put out right up there on that shelf. You can come over and check it out anytime you want. But it's just it's disappointing that they get such hype and they don't have to deliver the goods. You know what I mean? I mean, quite frankly, I'd rather listen to Osric Tentacles than that new song.
Damn you.
there you go.
Because the new Osric Tentacles rules. I mean, it's
Yeah, it
really
does.
good.
We all
I don't know,
know.
man. It's not a bad song. It's just I just don't understand why people won't give a band like Raven, who've been around as long, if not longer, than Metallica. They put out some of the best albums of their career in the last few years, where that nobody even cares. I went to one of their shows; there was 20 freaking people there, and Metallica puts out a pile of crap. I mean, I've said it before. I'll say it right here. Metallica could put out an album of fart noises, and fans would defend it as being great.
New Primal by Head and Shoulders.
New
Mastering
Primal,
engineer on that is obviously a freaking genius.
yeah, New Primal is going to be great.
Hey, Glenn, we need to talk this week. I have some questions for you, not related to the album, just personal fun stuff. Drums sound like a drum machine. I didn't notice that, but I'll.
Well, so overall, you want to hear the round by round?
Yep, let's hear it.
Let's see. It looks like 8 rounds for Exodus and 4 rounds for Metallica.
Okay.
So we all pretty much agree on the first 3. That's about that and the Lulu. We wholeheartedly agreed on that, and everything else is pretty close. But in the big scheme of things, it looks like Exodus 8, Metallica 4, which is about.
How did it score for each of us?
Exodus is going to destroy because with those zeros that we Metallica.
Yeah, but what you were throwing out there with the zeros, that really hurt their cause. And I threw out a few 5s and 6s, and then I had a 0 on Lulu. But
I figured for me individually, I figured Metallica might have won by a nose, but I don't know.
Not with the 0 you gave Lulu.
7-5. 7-5. You had Metallica 7-5.
Okay.
And Scott, you had 1, 2, 3, 4. No, you were Exodus 8-4. 8-4. Exodus.
Yeah. I just think Exodus has had better albums since the glory days, whereas Metallica has been releasing decent to mediocre albums for the last few decades. They have not released something draw-dropping awesome since the 80s.
Well, I had somebody ask me last week, if they could be the big 5 instead of the big 4, who would I add? And I said, well, Slayer's retired, so dump them and then get rid of Anthrax and add Overkill, Exodus, and Testament, and then you'd have a real big 5.
Yeah.
Nope.
See if Metallica can keep up, and I bet they can't.
Hey, let's do Noise next. Time we do this. Let's do Slayer versus Testament.
Okay.
That'd be a fun one.
Yeah. See, there's another LA band that moved to the Bay Area to try and get famous. Metallica was an LA band, and they moved to the Bay Area to try and at least get a gig because LA at the time was Well, you're brown to metal, as Poser Mark would say.
That's right. I love it.
So
Well, boys,
anyway,
I got to tell you, Carcass, that was fantastic, man. That was awesome. That was a great idea and a great show.
hey, and shuffle back to the Metal Queen, Stephara Greenhagen.
Mm-hmm.
What did she say? You want to know why I love her? Here.
Exodus. She said Exodus.
Dang right.
Yep. Well, boys, I can hear my kids downstairs getting ready for the Thanksgiving dinner that we missed because I was out of town and they were working and or otherwise occupied. So I'm going to cut it short. Anybody got any parting shots?
No, that was fun. I mean, I kind of
Appreciate
figured
everybody
Exodus would
listening
win,
and
but
throwing out their opinion. That's why we do this.
That is why we do it. Yeah. So
I think we could have done a whole episode just on the first album, Kill 'Em All versus Bonded by Blood.
You're probably right. I really love the Slayer versus Testament idea, so let's do that. And I think overall, yes, Exodus did win. Even 2-1. I was outvoted. I expected that, but it was close for me too. Anyway, so follow me on Instagram at I am Metal Rob. Follow Carcass John on Instagram at Carcass John Art. Check out Scott on YouTube by searching Scott Waters. You could buy some killer merch from us. I think I've got the link still. Yep. There's a link if you want to get a t-shirt or butt wipes or towels or
Butt wipes.
Skates. I don't know. Shit. They've got everything. So thank you for hanging out with us. Thanks for giving us ideas for the show. It's always fun to talk with you boys. So, all right. We good?
We're good. That's it.
Oh, shit. I'm not going to fuck it up today. Okay.
There goes our PG-13.
All right, kids. Until next time for episode 158 of the Metal Round Table, I am Metal Rob saying
Metal
Metal
will
will
prevail.
prevail.